A half whiskey barrel can make a great water feature for any small garden or patio. You can purchase these for about £38 off eBay, so I'm just going to show you how I set them up. I've got two plants which I'm going to leave in the 1 litre pots. I've got some 50 to 75 ml Scottish pebbles, and I've also got some water lettuce here that I'm going to place in there. I think the floating water lettuce looks quite nice in these whiskey barrels. I'm going to start by placing a good scattering of the Scottish pebbles on the bottom. They look quite nice against the black backdrop of the whiskey barrel. Make sure you give the pebbles and the barrel a good rinse before starting this process. Once you're happy with the layout of the pebbles, it's time to add the water. One of these barrels takes around 80 to 100 litres, I believe. Now these whiskey barrels do tend to leach whiskey back into the water for a number of months, even if you give them a good clean. You can line them with a pond liner, or you can persevere with this until the whiskey is fully leached out. Once full, you can use bricks and place them into the barrel and place your plants on top of them, but prefer to put a screw either end of the pot and then screw them in just below the water level. I find the bricks can look quite unsightly, so by doing it this way you avoid having them all together. If you put the screws in first, either end of the pot, and just screw them a few times just to the point sticking out, so when you line it up, it makes it a little bit easier screwing into the wood. Now I tend to use wood screws of about 3/4 inch. If you replace the screws every couple of years, because they're sitting in water 24 hours a day, they can weaken over time. There are a number of different ways you can organise your whiskey barrel. You can have logs placed in there sticking out. You can have the pebbles in there, you can have them piled up on one side so they're almost coming out of the surface of the water. I like to place potted laurel plants behind the whiskey barrels. It gives a nice green backdrop as well. That's the potted plants fixed in position. Now it's time to put the floating water lettuce in. Now these plants over time will help with water clarity and quality. Now it may take some time for these small ponds to settle down. Because it's a small volume of water, they're much more open to algae growth and water quality issues. You will need to do frequent water changes and make sure you treat the water, because you don't want the chlorine in there. It will kill any beneficial bacteria which will grow, which will help your system in the long term. As the whiskey leaches, you can end up with your whiskey barrel looking like this. Now you can line the barrel, or you can persevere with the water changes. An alternative is, if you check out one of my other videos recently released, it's these little DIY mini filters. I actually designed them to clear the water on these whiskey barrels. So if you have a nice plug, you can place one of these in there and you'll end up looking like this with a nice little ripple on the surface. It makes quite a nice water feature. And it'll avoid a few good weeks of cleaning and constantly doing the water changes.